This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Good morning, St. Joseph. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. Next, giving honor to the great pastor of this church, the Reverend Dr. Jonathan C. Augustine, to First Lady Michelle, to Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. It's good to see you this morning. And y'all, my grandmother made the trip down again this morning. Here she is on the fourth row. And she brought a good friend along, Miss Ann, so give it up for Miss Ann as well. Let us pray. God, let's do it. Amen. There is a word from the Lord this morning, and it will be coming from Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 and 6. Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 and 6. And it reads like this. Once Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, listen to this dream that I dreamed. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be unto God. I'd like to speak from the message title, Dare to Dream. Dare to Dream. April 4th, 1968, on the second floor balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, will forever be etched in the minds of the nation. It was on this date that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. took his last breaths on earth after being assassinated. Many describe this day as the death of the dreamer, the death of the man who had a dream that his 4 little children would live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The death of a man who challenged America to be true to what it said on paper. The man who, although he was viewed as the most hated man in America, remained committed to loving all. So how in the world could someone who had a dream of salvation face so much suffering? Martin had a dream for the best, but many around him wanted to see the worst. Have you ever been there before? Where you had a dream, but many people around you wanted to kill that dream. Where you found yourself standing on the balcony of your life, looking upwards towards your dream, yet many around you wanted to see you fall. Today, we understand that having a dream is a very dangerous and difficult endeavor. Having a dream is particularly difficult when those around you have become so comfortable living in a nightmare. In our text today, we find a young 17-year-old boy by the name of Joseph. Joseph had many brothers, but his father Israel loved him more than any of his other children because Joseph was a child of his father's old age. Joseph's father Israel even made him a long coat of many colors in honor of his love and admiration for having such a great son. Thus we understand that Joseph was viewed very favorably by his father. But when his brothers saw that he was the favorite child, they became envious and developed a hate for young Joseph. And then one day Joseph had a dream that he shared with his brothers. And in this dream, he and all of his brothers were gathering grains in the field, when suddenly Joseph's grain stood straight up on its own, while the grains of Joseph's brothers gathered around his grain and bowed before them. His brothers were not pleased with this dream. Here it was, their younger brother, who was already favored by their father, was now having dreams symbolically stating that he would reign over them. After hearing this dream, his brothers hated him even more. And the dreams of Joseph did not stop there. He also told his brothers and father another dream, where the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were also bowing down to him. And these symbols were symbolic of the family of Israel all bowing before Joseph. And even Joseph's father was slightly offended by this dream and the thought that he would bow before his own son. This example shows that our dreams can be disruptive. And I must be transparent today in sharing that when I was studying this text and preparing this sermon, I had difficulty grasping and understanding about how a young teenager could have a dream so large that the sun and the moon bowed before him. I was almost to the point where I was going to select a different text to preach from, because it seemed that Joseph's dreams were absurd and too large to be realistic. Yet the big dream of Joseph connects with our world today. How in the world could a 17-year-old boy have a dream that he would rule over his family? Make it make sense. However, I submit that we have reached a point in our society where we have become so intoxicated by what's ordinary and expected that we are discouraged from thinking or becoming anything greater. When you have a big dream, people will say to you, be realistic. But the only realism that I'm trying to resonate with is the realness of God. The realness of a God who can grant us insights to inspire. The realness of a God who can allow my father to be in a head-on car collision and make it out with nothing more than a scratch. The realness of a God who has opened doors that nobody can shut. The realness of a God who can allow the dream to live on. I'm talking about a real God today. Yes, sir. And oftentimes, the realness of God has to go up against the fakeness of people. The people who, because they look in the mirror and don't like what they see, try to discourage you from liking what you see. The people who, because they are afraid to take a leap of faith, try to tie your legs down. The people who, because they weren't able to do something, tell you that what you are seeking to accomplish is impossible. The people who aren't able to see the dream because they are so focused on the nightmare. Joseph's brothers did not like the dream of Joseph. Here it was. Young Joseph thought that he could look beyond his present circumstance, that he could make it out of his community, that he could get a scholarship, that he could graduate. His brothers mocked him, saying, "Here comes this dreamer." And they were so bothered by his high hopes and dreams that they threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery to the Ishmaelites, thinking that they could kill the dream. And instead of telling the truth of them selling their brother into slavery, the brothers told their father that Joseph was killed by a wild animal. What can we learn from Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers? Having a dream is a dangerous endeavor. And my brothers and sisters, we must be careful who we share our dreams with. Because once you share your dreams, some people may seek to destroy them. They will fight you every step of the way, seeking to block you from your destiny. Yet, I know many people can resonate with the phrase, "Try Jesus, not me, because I throw hands." Let me say it one more time. I believe many people can resonate with the phrase, "Try Jesus, not me, because I throw hands." See, some people mistake you being religious for weakness and may try to take advantage of you. And they don't recognize that God is still working on you and that they have met the good version of who you are today, not recognizing that while you have God's goodness in one hand, you still have a little gangster in the other. That you have come a mighty long way, but God is still working on you. I can imagine that even while Joseph was a dreamer who had God's favor on his life, with all of the efforts to stop him from reaching his dreams, there were likely times where he wanted to lay hands. Not in a biblical way, but in a beatdown way. where instead of promoting prayer, he wanted to promote pain. He went from being a free teenager with a big dream to being enslaved with no freedom. Yet Joseph continued the fights of God, not allowing his circumstances to stop God's creation. And the truth of the matter is that, like Joseph, we must fight for our dreams. I know many people are thinking about the Montgomery Brawl right about now. But I'm not talking about raising a chair in the air, but raising our voices to make a change, raising our hands to give God the praise, raising awareness of injustices plaguing our society, raising our children to be leaders, raising the church to uplift our community. And instead of raising a chair in the air, we grab that same chair and declare like Shirley Chisholm, if they don't give us a seat at the table, we're going to bring our own folding chair. Where we use that chair to transform our classrooms, uplift our communities, preach hope in our churches, provide opportunity for the oppressed, and emphasize love in order to eradicate hate. Do I have any fighters in the building who are willing to fight for your dreams? Yes, destruction came about, but you looked destruction in the face and said, "You can't stop me." Yes, sir. Joseph brought his chair to Egypt with the spirit of the living God within him. And it was evident to those who sought control of Joseph that the Spirit of God was upon him and that he had a dream so large that it cannot be denied. His brothers sought to throw him away, but God brought him up. And the Spirit of God was so profound that Pharaoh in Egypt made Joseph the leader over the land of Egypt, and everything that he did was prosperous. God had made Joseph fruitful in the land of his misfortunes. Thus, what his brothers meant for his harm, God made it for his good. Is there anybody glad that we serve a God that walks with us wherever we go, who has allowed us to keep our dreams alive? I know many people know the song, "Throw Some D's on It." Well, I'm telling you today to throw some dreams on it. They said that what you're doing is impossible, throw some dreams on it. They said that you would never amount to anything, but throw some dreams on it. They said you never end up being anywhere, but throw some dreams on it. They said you never make it to graduation, throw some dreams on it. They said you never get that position, but throw some dreams on it. They said you never get elected, but throw some dreams on it. I'm telling somebody to throw some dreams on it. And the truth of the matter is that this life will make you want to quit. This life will seek to kill your dreams, but I dare you to dream. I dare you to dream until destruction is diminished and freedom is felt. I dare you to dream until the threat of injustice is arrested by the power of liberation and equality. I dare you to dream until the love of God is felt across our communities. I dare you to dream until those who are hopeless are able to hope like never before. I dare you to dream until fear is overpowered by faith. I dare you to dream until walls of injustice are knocked down. I dare you to dream until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. I dare you to dream today. But at the same time, we must understand that it is time to wake up. For all of my dreamers, you are in good company, and you are not dreaming alone. And each and every person here today has had some help to get to where we are. We stand on the shoulders of the dreamers who came before us. We stand on the prophetic words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We stand on the legislative genius of Thurgood Marshall. We stand on the shoulders of Frederick Douglass. We stand on the visionary leadership of Sojourner Truth, the poetic fire of W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes, and Maya Angelou, the advocacy of Richard Allen, the good trouble of John Lewis, the soulful singing of Mahalia Jackson, the impeccable writings of James Weldon Johnson, the scientific research of George Washington Carver, the medical prescriptions of Charles Drew, the bus seat of Rosa Rosa Parks, the commitment to justice of the NAACP, the service and scholarship of the Divine Nine, the classroom of the Little Rock Nine, the boxing ring of Muhammad Ali, the baseball diamond of Jackie Robinson, the lasting love of the lunch counter protesters, the fearless faith of the Freedom Riders, and the yes we can of Barack Obama.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, as we reflect on what we gained from our ancestors, we see that there is hope for our dreams. Yet, in order to transform hope into what's really happening and dreams to reality, we must write the vision and make it plain. In order for our dreams of God to become reality, we must arise from our dreams and begin to live. And we must live according to God's purpose. And we must ask ourselves the question, am I dreaming to prove people wrong, or am I dreaming to prove God right? For if we become so focused on proving people wrong, we will never taste the freedom of happiness. The addiction to affirmations is an epidemic plaguing our society. Let me say that one more time. The addiction to affirmations is an epidemic plaguing our society, where we feel the need to have the approval of others to pursue the dreams that God has placed on our hearts. But I want to encourage someone to not kill your dreams before they manifest. We must ask ourselves, am I dreaming today for people to say, look at what he did, or look at what she did, or am I dreaming to say, look at what God did? Joseph was a man of great power in this text, going from being enslaved to being the ruler of Egypt. But he did not allow his great power and large platform to cause him to lose sight of the fact that his success did not come as a result of his own doing, but as a result of God's doing. And my brothers and sisters, as we grow closer to our dreams, our visibility and popularity may rise. But I submit that while other people may seek to kill our dreams, we too can be the cause of our own demise if we aren't careful. A successful dreamer looks really good, but don't allow bad company and sinful distractions to stop you from your destiny. When my dream chasers end up in the room of a dream killer, you might have to run up out of that room like Joseph ran up out of Potiphar's wife's house. And if you leave some clothes behind, you can tell them that you can take my garments, but you can't take my gift. The brothers of Joseph hated the dream of Joseph because they thought that his dream was selfish and one that would cause them to be viewed as inadequate to him. But little did they know that Joseph's dream of them and their father bowing before them was not a dream of personal pleasure, selfish gain, or domination, but a dream that connected them to God's saving grace in a time of famine. After they sold Joseph into slavery, the land experienced a great famine. And the same brothers that wanted to kill Joseph's dreams are the same brothers that depended on his dream for their own survival. Because Joseph had the resources as the newly promoted leader of Egypt to provide them with food and help keep them alive. Thus, sometimes being connected to the dreamer can lead to a breakthrough. The same people who are hating on the dream can end up being the same people who need the dream to transform their nightmare. And Joseph helped his struggling brothers, even though they hated him from the beginning. He allowed the dream to be made flesh. Now, what is your dream for 2024? I read a quote that said, "What a tragedy to breathe your last breath and to discover that your life was not only unfinished, but perhaps never really began." Some people may approach this new year reflecting so much on what could have been or what could have happened last year and find themselves in a love affair with regret. Many of us face the temptation of wallowing in misery and regrets, of dreams that we've had that have been deferred or denied, on dreams in the sky that never touch the ground of reality, where we lament so much on that which has been lost that we become blind to what has been gained, where we focus so much on the dreams of yesterday that we can't receive the dreams of today. Living in our yesterday is not living at all. It is rather dying a slow and regret-filled death. As Ecclesiastes tells us, there is a season for everything under the sun. And I declare that this is your season to live and dream. Your dreams have been locked up by your self-inflicted shackles for far too long, and it is time for the shackles to fall so that you can be all that God has called you to be. Somewhere I read, young men shall have visions and old men shall dream dreams. I came to tell somebody who feels that they have dry bones, who feels that they don't have anything left in the tank to keep on going. I came to tell someone who feels incapable that God has called you for such a time as this. Your dreams are not too big. And as a matter of fact, I'm telling you to dream even bigger, stand even taller, speak even louder, prophesy even bolder, for the dream lives on today. The words of the dream have been made flesh and are walking among us. So dream on, my brother, the dream is in your heart. Dream on, my sister, you've come really far. The promise is approaching. Let us do away with fear. We have an assignment to complete. We can't stop now. The dream is in our mind. The dream is in our spirits. The dream is in this room. The dream is in this city. The dream is in this nation. And now is the time to transform dreams into reality.